Ukraine's president beseeching the U.S. for more military aid before that cash runs out at the end of the year, making his case in D.C. on Tuesday in a last-second pitch to Congress to approve more funding in the war against Russia. During a joint press conference, President Biden stressed that failing to support Kyiv would be helping Moscow.
Putin is banking on the United States failing to deliver for Ukraine. We must prove him wrong.
And Niall Stanage is here, White House columnist for The Hill. As always, good to see you, Niall. You know, the president did announce a $200 million aid package during President Zelensky's visit yesterday. I know that the original ask was $61 billion, I believe, in military funding. But the $200 million, is that a concession, as really the president kind of has his hands tied because of the House saying, no way, not until we have a border deal?
Yeah, it's a good question. And this question of exactly where the funds are coming from can sometimes be confusing. The $200 million is from funds that were already approved. But when funds are approved, we don't just fork over the cash. There's a discussion between Ukraine and the United States as to what exactly will be provided. And so this was marking the Zelensky visit by allotting the $200 million to a particular a range of armaments and so forth. Now, that is a separate topic from the the 60 billion plus that has been requested and that there has not been agreement on so far.
But what about all of this talk that we were hearing over the past several weeks about the Defense Department either not knowing where money went, not being able to track funds, or not having enough money in general to support U.S. defenses? How are we able to afford to help Ukraine?
Well, advocates of helping Ukraine would argue that there are vital American interests at stake there, and that those interests revolve around stopping Vladimir Putin. Now, the contrary argument is there has been more than $100 billion of aid provided by the United States to Ukraine since the Russian invasion. The issue that you're getting to in your question of transparency and accountability is something that many people, most notably Republicans, are emphasizing before there is more money given. I would just add briefly, Adrienne, I was watching the show earlier with your interview with Congressman Murphy, a Republican from North Carolina, where you asked him how much the sense that Ukraine might be losing plays into this, and he said that was part of the calculus. I thought that was a very revealing moment, because I think that is the heart of the issue for many Americans, not people necessarily in Washington. If we're going to fork over all this money, again, what's the plan? What are the objectives? How achievable are those objectives? Nobody wants to see Vladimir Putin win, but how will he be defeated?
Well, I think that sometimes you just have to make it plain, and it's like we don't want to say what's obvious. I mean, we had wall-to-wall coverage here of the Ukraine war for months, and then all of a sudden, really, we don't see too much from the battle lines. So why are we not? And some are saying that it's because Ukraine is not exactly in a winning position right now, and what exactly would we be funding? But that, again, is for another day. Speaker Johnson was pressured by some to continue with keeping lawmakers at their offices and foregoing some of the days of their holiday break until Ukraine funding is approved. Do we hear any chatter from Capitol Hill about whether that's going to happen?
It's a possibility that it's going to happen. As you're well aware, members of Congress love their holidays and are very loath to extend their time here in Washington unless there is a real chance of a deal. Now, Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader in the Senate, has said that it would be practically impossible to get a deal before the holiday break that is coming up. So maybe there'll be an extension for a day or two, but we would need to be closer to an actual agreement, I think, before that would happen.
Yeah, more conversations sure to be had, especially with that looming border issue that Republicans are just very stalwart about. Still undone. There's no confirmation of anything at this point. We'll keep our eyes peeled for something. Niall Stanage, thank you as always. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.